Good evening, my friends. Meteorologist Helene here with an update on the tropics. We have quite a bit to break down in terms of severe weather threats as we head into the day tomorrow. But as of now, we still have a little bit in the way of flooding, some flooding issues. All of those boxes that you're seeing right there, we have flood advisories and watches and warnings that are now in place, as well as some light rain that is now falling across the area. But nothing severe warned at this time, and even just seeing that light rainfall, not even those pockets of heavier rainfall or really any sort of significant lightning producers right now. So let's get into this. Hurricane Helene, right now, the sustained wind speed of 130 miles per hour. Now, as we continue to see this move further to the north-northeast, a clip about 23 miles an hour, and this will make landfall this evening. So again, a reminder that the official landfall, that definition of landfall is when we see that eye that moves over land. So we're still seeing the effects of the outer bands, and the outer bands will reach us pretty quickly within the early morning hours of Friday. But again, even though we're seeing the effects of those outer bands already on the coastline, not official landfall at this point. We will keep you updated. But once again, this is what we're looking at for Helene's track. So this will go just west of us, and we will still see it impacting directly into Tennessee and Kentucky. But a reminder that this track is where the eye of the hurricane, or eye at least at that point of the tropical storm, will be located. So this does not take into account the widespread outer bands, and because this storm is a big one, the outer bands are much further reaching than this little path that is depicted here. So we do have a few threats to break down as this does head our way over the next few hours. But that storm surge that we are going to see into Florida, this is projected to make landfall now as a Category 4 life-threatening storm surge that we are expecting, up to and even above that 12-foot mark that you're seeing into that purple right there as you're moving right into the panhandle. Still seeing a lot of that storm surge, about 3 feet, and then as you move further again right into that bend, 12 feet possible. National Weather Service, when they're issuing all of these bulletins, they are using words catastrophic, life-threatening, not anything that is survivable. So again, if you are in those zones, you have family in those zones, you need to be evacuated at this point, because this is catastrophic storm surge that we are looking at, and this graphic explains that perfectly. This life-threatening storm surge, that is right where we're looking at for that landfall mark. Now here a little bit closer to home, we still have some flooding potential. The rainfall that we have seen even the past few days, in addition to the already saturated ground, none of this is a good mix, especially as we move forward with this. So again, flood potential that we are looking at in this red zone right here, and that even stretches into the NRV zone. We're starting to see that again right into that southwestern point into Virginia. They're looking at that life-threatening flooding that is possible in that darker red, but still ongoing flooding as that rain band still moves in even further ahead of, again, the eye of what is Hurricane Helene. And we are still going to see this combined with yet another low pressure system, and all of that bringing in a lot more moisture. So that is why this is going to be a big flooding event, even into our area, that we are still seeing that possibility for some pretty significant flooding. So right now, as I just mentioned, we still have that already saturated ground. We had a lot of storms yesterday, even a few tornado warnings popping up last night. And again, we still had that even the previous night. That was Tuesday and Wednesday night. We both had tornado warnings within the viewing area, and accompanied with those storms, a lot of heavy rainfall. Areas in this light green right here showing a watch in the entirety of the area. Again, that area flood watch is in effect until 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. And to these light green boxes, we do have a flash flood warning, and those are still as those showers that we were just looking at. That radar image currently is still in effect, so still seeing a lot of rainfall that is being piled on top of that already saturated ground, already a lot of rainfall we've seen over the past few days. And again, we still have a lot of those flood alerts that are in place as we are bracing for the impact of even just the outer bands of Hurricane Helene that will pack a punch. Futurecast rainfall as this track does move further inland. Here, Southwest Virginia, and even into Central Virginia, moderate to heavy impacts for that flooding. And I cannot stress this enough, that saturated ground, none of this is a good mix right now. So we have that potential for a lot of flooding. Rainfall amounts that we are talking with this, anywhere from 1 to 5 inches, but cannot rule out locally or heavier amounts of about 7 to 8 inches possible. So once again, this is a lot of rain that we are expecting because of the size of this storm and the amount of time that it will hang around into our area because of that outer band that will already reach us early tomorrow morning. And as that center of the storm, the eye of that storm does continue to move further inland, those outer bands becoming a little bit more intensified here locally. So again, there's another look at that amount of rainfall that we are expecting. Very, very heavy amounts, again, anywhere from 1 to 8 inches. Again, those locally heavy amounts of those 7 to 8. Most of us across the viewing area seeing anywhere from 1 to 5 inches. So we covered the flooding threat. We still have wind alerts that are in place as well. We could see wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour. The more pressing concern for those higher wind speeds, definitely into Smith, Grayson, Tazewell counties. You are all into a high wind warning, and that does expire tomorrow at 8 o'clock as we continue to see Hurricane Helene make its way towards our area. Those winds that will pick up. Rest of us in these colors, that wind advisory, that does expire at 8 o'clock tomorrow night as well. So that wind also a threat. And you'll notice, even though, again, one thing in that track is very small, but the impacts much larger when you compare it to that track. So these are the impacts of that wind speed for the entire state of Florida, even into reaching into Alabama, entire state of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, including Tennessee and tip top of Kentucky right there. And here locally, we're not looking to see, again, those wind speeds that still could gust up to 50 miles an hour. So still packs a punch as we're looking at a pretty wide wind field with this. And there's another look at our Futurecast wind gust as we do move forward. The bulk of that, the more concerning of those wind speeds early into Friday morning, about 8 o'clock, and this will continue to build through into Friday afternoon and evening. Even Saturday, we're still keeping that wind speed at a pretty good clip. Now, further into next work week, Sunday and into Monday, we'll begin to see at least those numbers moving down a little bit, but still, you'll see about 14 to 10 miles an hour, at least a little bit calmer when you compare to what we are bracing for over these next few days. And folks, this is the big one. This is what we are watching pretty closely. And even the past few days, we have had that tornado potential. We had several warnings. But Friday, tomorrow, as the center of this hurricane moves into our area, we are seeing some significant potential for this rotation, those rotating thunderstorms that are into the center of this hurricane. Now, we're going to be on the east side of Hurricane Helene. And that's not a place that you want to be, and especially for this tropical event of any storm. So this does bring a pretty elevated risk of tornadoes as we move into the day on Friday. We're talking sunrise to sunset on Friday. Stay weather aware as we have that potential for that rotation. Again, that is throughout the day on Friday. So be sure you are in a place where you can hear warnings and that you are prepared to go to your safe place if this is indeed something that is issued. So here's a closer look on the timeline of this. We'll start to see those rain showers as early as this evening and continuing into early Friday morning. So we're still seeing the heavier band of rainfall that's expected Friday morning. And as again, this model in particular has this moving throughout the afternoon with a few lingering showers. But by 6 o'clock, the bulk of that activity has wrapped up. So to put a bow on all this, the next 7 days, again, we have that weather authority alert day that is issued for tomorrow. High temperature is 74 for your Friday. So our temperatures, again, below normal. We're still seeing a lot of that cloud cover and a lot of those rain showers. And again, those threats that we talked about, the flooding, the wind, and the potential for a few tornadoes. We will continue updating you throughout the next several hours